everyone, and welcome to this channel. My name is Anya and I'm a fashion designer, and this is the part 2 of designing my own wedding dress. And if you have seen my first video where I go through my inspiration, I made my sketch, then some notes and the sketch for the swing pattern, then you know that in this video we're gonna create the actual pattern on paper with the real measurements, and we're gonna make the prototype and then the adjustments on the pattern so that I am ready to conquer the actual material. But of course, if you missed the first part, I am inviting you to go check it out. I think it's a pretty interesting one and you will understand better what I'm talking about in this video. So as I said, today we're gonna bring the sketch into the actual world with a prototype, and I'm really excited to start with the actual process of creating this wedding dress. I'm really in love with the sketch and I am really hopeful that I can make it work and that hopefully the final result is gonna be very beautiful. I have just 3 weeks left until the wedding, so we are a bit tight, but hopefully I will have enough time to manage and create the whole wedding dress. Now let's just get right into it, right? So once I had my digital design in Procreate, it was time to bring the pattern to life on actual paper. With my design sketch and notes beside me, I started drafting the main pattern pieces, the front and the back of the dress, and of course the sleeve. I already had the base printed out. I put another paper on top, copied the pattern, and started making adjustments on that new copy. This helps me preserve all the steps of the pattern creation in case I would have to go back and correct a mistake. Since I planned a unique squarish and V-ish neckline, I carefully shaped that area to match my vision. Then I moved to the back, crafting the open back shape and marking where I wanted the train to begin, and adding a gentle flowing shape that would add just the right amount of drama. I also made sure that all the darts were the right size, that the shoulder was shorter just like we mentioned it in the notes, and I also made the sleeve opening a bit bigger for more comfort. I drafted this beautiful kind of a bell-shaped skirt for the bottom part of the dress, and then it was the time to create the sleeve. The sewing pattern for the sleeve was a little bit more complex because I wanted a puffed bishop sleeve, so I made the cuts on the sleeve pattern and spread it wider to achieve that shape, and this extra width will give me that beautiful volume gathering at the wrist to create an elegant and romantic effect. Of course, then I also need to add the cuff and a little bit of extra material that is gonna follow after that to complete the sleeve look. With the paper pattern complete, it was time to move to the fabric. Since I didn't want to use a fancy fabric, I used an old bed sheet as a test material to create the prototype. I usually like to use a simple cotton for any type of prototypes or tryouts because it's really the perfect material for that. This step is all about getting the fit and the shape right so I could experiment without any worry. My fiance even joined in to help cut out the pieces so we could work faster. With only a few weeks left until the wedding, every bit of time saved counts. I continued marking and cutting out all the pattern pieces of the dress and really tried to hurry up but still be as precise as possible. And then seeing the first fabric pieces laid out, it was such a rush. It was the first time my vision started to really feel real, even though it's just a prototype and an old bed sheet. After I cut out all the pattern pieces, there were some that I cut out in double layer to save some time and precision. So with those ones, I had to transfer the pattern on the other side, and I helped myself with this copying paper. It's something that I do a lot and it's a very standard part of my process. After that, I started pinning all the pattern pieces together. You can see right here that I am pinning together the darts at the front top, and then I'm also combining it with that belt shape that is gonna be around the waist as we've seen it in the sketch. And I'm being really careful that I pin all the pattern pieces together on the line that I drafted to really assure that extra precision. And then you can see right here the top coming together. Now here we have the bottom part with the train, and of course I had to pin it together through the middle so that then I can move to the next stage. Once all the pieces were pinned in a proper way, they were ready to be sewn together. This part was really about bringing each element together and seeing how it would look as a full dress. I began with the bodice and skirt and added the single sleeve just to get a sense of how the bishop sleeve would fall. And since it's one thing to see the design on paper, but then seeing it in real life, how the shape and the flow of the sleeve is behaving, it gives me a much clearer idea of how it would come together in the final version. Of course, I have to think about the material is gonna be different and each material reacts in a very specific way, but that's something we will think about later. During this sewing stage, I just really focused on combining all the pattern pieces and making sure that they fitted exactly as I wanted them from the sketch and then from the pattern. The point of this was not to create the most beautiful prototype, but just to double check if everything is working properly. The important thing here is to remember, I'm simply trying to see the dress before committing to the actual material. As I worked, I was constantly checking and adjusting, making mental notes of what I need to tweak. Finally, it was time to try the prototype and see what adjustments I needed. I'll be honest, it was a bit of an improvisation. The prototype wasn't fully finished and I hadn't added the zipper yet, so I had to hold parts of it in place just to get an idea of the fit. Of course, also none of the finishes would made, so all the edges were raw and the strings of the fabric were kinda everywhere. When I put it on, I noticed it was too big overall, so I knew I needed to take in the sides to get that right fit. I also decided to make a few other adjustments. I wanted the neckline a bit smaller to frame my collarbone more delicately, and I decided to open up the back a bit more to give it that dynamic, elegant effect I loved. And because I made the neckline in the front smaller, the contrast in the back of making it bigger and wider and lower, I think it's gonna give that really beautiful silhouette. It was so helpful to spot these details at this stage so that I could refine the design even more before moving to the final fabric and not wasting any money and making mistakes. Every little change brought this dress closer to what I envisioned from the start. After trying on the prototype and making all the little notes, I went back to my paper pattern to make some key adjustments based on what I learned from the fitting. I was constantly measuring the prototype and transferring that to the paper pattern so that the corrections were as precise as possible, because of course now this is for real. I actually made another sketch of the sewing pattern, marking everything that I needed to change, and I also made a list of all the corrections so that I wouldn't miss anything and that the pattern would be fully ready to start that new stage. As you can see, I approach these corrections in a very simple way. The same amounts that before I marked on the prototype, I just transferred them now to the paper pattern. So for example, if on the side the prototype was 2 centimeters too big, I just mark those 2 centimeters on the paper pattern and draw the new line of how the pattern will look now. And once everything was fully corrected, I was ready for the next stage. So that's a wrap for the prototype stage. I am really excited with how the things are coming along. I think we made a really good progress, and I am excited how the dress is shaping, and it really feels like it's gonna work. I'm really excited. Now that this stage is done, I am ready to go buy the fabric and start creating the dress from the actual material, and that is gonna be so exciting. And now I'm gonna invite you to, of course, subscribe and and follow, like this video. And next week I am hopefully going to upload the next video of the progress, which is gonna be, as I said, going to the fabric store and buying the materials and start cutting the pattern pieces from the actual material and hopefully start sewing. I'm really excited to see how this next stage is gonna turn out. I am really happy to be sharing this whole process with you guys, and hopefully you will enjoy it as much as I am. And that is it for today. I will see you in the next video. Bye!